chill. It's about time.
Alright, and welcome everybody to Quick Casts. My name is Jeremy Paul, aka Sleepy Juice. This is our third episode of the show. For those of you who don't know, it's a show where we're going to go through and cast a game, have some fun, look at some interesting things, and also take a specific topic each game to kind of focus on for newer players. We want to increase their community here, we want our community to grow, and it's a hard game. So we're going to break it down to some simple concepts once a game. Now, today we'll be looking at a PvT. It's going to be two bigs, Marc versus Calimist, and we're going to be talking about worker production in macro games. Now, what we have is Calimist in particular is going to be going for a very macro-oriented build on this map, Alkaline Waste. Now, Alkaline Waste is a two-player map, and the only noticeable thing that we're going to notice in this game specifically is that the third is blocked by destructible rocks for the person trying to take it, and also you can have a collapsible rocks on the outside of that to take down to actually limit the movement into that base by the enemy. Now, we do see the probe coming down as a basic one-gate expand. He's going to, a little bit of mistake there with the order of that stuff, a tiny supply block, but he wants to get that Nexus down as soon as possible and start pumping out drones. I'm actually going to bring up all of the Nexi over here and put them on the right side of the screen so we can see all the idle time that there is not making probes. And you can see, oh, the SCV there is trying to say, no, you're not going to make that Nexus before me. The command center is already down. So we get the Zealot out here. Normally we'd want to cancel that Zealot, but in this case we're going to let it finish. Turns out that he canceled that supply depot anyway, so the Zealot wasn't needed. On the Terran side, he's going for a simple 1 Rax expand into a 3 Rax. He'll be getting Tech Lab soon and start getting those upgrades there. And we see the first Nexus go down. We have a push with the first 2 units coming across the map. For the Protoss player, he's going to poke in, see if he can see. He's going to see a bunker and a lot of Marines here. And he's not even going to stick around. He doesn't even take a shot, heads back home. Now, when playing macro on lower leagues in particular, if you make a base, you want that base saturated as fast as possible. You can even get away with hidden expose and things like that. In this case, we're taking the third. You can see the rocks blocking the way there. We're taking a third down in the bottom left for the Protoss player, and he's going to, his goal as a macro player is he's going to get up to 75 probes as soon as possible. That's what he wants for 3 bases. He wants 6 per base on gas and around 18 on minerals. Now, we're gonna watch, and around now you can see he's starting to not hit all of the. There's a lot of idle time on the Nexus, and that's what we're trying to fix. When you go back and watch your games, we want to see that non-stop probe production. So you get to that point, you'll have to go through, check your bases, make sure you don't have all of them on one base, separate them out to where there's even supply on all of them, and just keep making probes. We see all this idle time right now where there's nothing happening. Now, to kind of give you an idea, we have 2 Marc now, who's been doing a basic aggression build. He's going to go 3 racks with the +1 with stim and concussion shell, and he's going to push with that, with medevacs coming out at the same time. He's ahead on tech, and he's ahead on army. And we see, like, now it should be coming up time for him to push. He has the medevacs coming out, his +1's finishing. Any good timing attack you're going to be doing, like, there he goes. We're going to want to do it right as something's finishing. And we look, the Protoss player is only 2 workers ahead. He's had that extra base for an extra 3 minutes, and he's only 2 workers ahead. Not only that, but he has no upgrades. He's going to be going for Storm, it looks like, but Charge isn't done, Armor isn't done, and that Storm is not going to be done anywhere near in time. So he's not able, due to the fact that he went for a macro build and did not make probes non-stop, he's behind on all 3 categories now. He's behind on army, he's behind on income because of mules, and he's also behind on tech. And we have a Terran player now who's starting his third as he's going to push in. Like any good RTS player knows, you want to be expanding while you're pushing. It's creating a distraction. He's coming in now. So there we go. We drop the overcharge. It's able to push him back a little bit. You see the army staying just behind, like he pulls back just behind the where the overcharge is hitting, so he's not wasting. That's a wasted. If that goes down, it's wasted. That's energy from the mothership core that cannot be used again, and that's what he wants to do. He's going to load up in his medevacs, and he's going to actually come around. He sees the third now, so he's going to be able to drop there, and then he's also probably going to split it. Yeah, so he has one going to the third, and he's going to have one going to the main, and that overcharge that's on that Nexus in the natural is now wasted. So what we have is he's dropped in the third. He's not actually doing anything. It looks like he's looking more at his other medevacs, and I'll put his first-person view up so we can see it there. And the one in the main, however, is in a good spot. He should be sniping the Storm there. Bio Army mid-game, if the Protoss does not have any sort of AoE as far as Storm or Colossi, it's over. That's all they have to defend. The medevacs can actually heal at the same DPS that the gateway units can attack at. So he's really close. Oh, and he pulls and the Storm finishes. So there is a chance now. So there is a chance that this Protoss player will be fine. He's still not making probes. He's focusing more on getting gateways up in units, which is understandable. The drop in the mains moving forward is chased, and it looks that overcharge that we were talking about. Oasis actually does get the last shot and kills in a bunch of units there in that medevac. But the third has the drop happening right now, and it's being basically, luckily cleaned up by Zealots there, but did a lot of damage as far as splitting up the army there. Now we go back to the Nexus in the natural. That overcharge is gone, and the main army is able to now push the natural. Now he could have pushed it earlier, but that overcharge was there, so it does create a little bit of a holding point there. Now those great force fields kind of splitting everything up, but it is causing the Zealots to have to run around. And the only units the Protoss player really has is Zealots and Sentries right now, and Sentries just are not going to be doing the DPS. Now there is Storm out, so we see a good Storm go down, but it looks like Marc is able to just kite away these Zealots, which is great. He's able to push them through, and there's just not enough of them. Now we're down to 2 Sentries here. Meanwhile, he has 2-2 coming down, and he has a good amount of army supply still, much ahead of the Protoss. Now, Protoss is actually doing fairly decent as far as continuing to make probes now, but it's too little too late as far as it goes. We do look, and we have more tech labs coming down on the racks there. The upgrades are about to finish. The Ghost Academy is starting because they have Protoss going for Archons, and Storm Ghosts are the counter to that. That EMP is basically going to take everything. Now, we do see the Protoss warping in Archons. Now, he would rather go for Storm, I'm sure, but it's with that army pushing in constantly, there's just no time. It takes time for the point where you warp in a High Templar to where it can actually storm. It's not like it used to be where you used to be able to get an upgrade and they used to warp in with Storm, which was wonderful for Protoss players. So he's pushing in now. He had a great setup, good arc, but clumped back together a little bit. But now look, he's splitting them up perfectly. The AoE from the Archon shots basically do nothing when you're able to split up your Marauders that well, and he's pulling back again, taking a little stutter step to deal with that, and he's able to push in. There's really not a whole lot here. This game is basically over. The Archons are going down. He's able to pull back again as the workers are pulled and snipe off most of those. And it looks like right now there is a Harvester lead for the Protoss, but the army lead for Marc is just huge. There's no coming back from this. He's able to take that advantage he had, where he had the tech advantage and he had the army advantage, and he was even in worker supply plus mules, so he had an economic advantage, and he was able to take that and push it here where with against a mid-game Protoss on 3 bases instead of 2 with no AoE. So, and no upgrades at that point either. He still only has charge and a +1 armor, which having a +2 Terran actually going for +3 now on attack, that armor basically does nothing. So, and he has no Guardian Shields either to actually bump that armor up. So it looks like this is the last hurrah. The workers are coming off the line. The Mothership Core isn't able to actually do an overcharge. It splits up the workers there. The factory floating overhand's gonna land right there in the way. Makes a movable, destructible rock basically for the Terran player. And looks like the Terran's just gonna push in here and end it. He's up by 90 or 86 to 16 as far as army supply. The income is actually double what the Protoss player has at this point. We do have some more Templars coming in. Oh, and there's some Manor Mules. The Manor Mules for good effect. Storms are coming down, but look at that. He's able to pull those out perfectly and get the Marauders out of the way. Now, for a Platinum level player, that's actually really good. He was able to see that coming with his the high ground vision from the Medivacs and able to split up naturally to avoid that. It's able, when they grab it, slice it, and pull things out of the way like that, it makes that Storm very ineffective. It's not, they take so long to gain that energy that you're just not able to at that point continue storming. That's the problem with Storm, is you only get a few of them and you have to make them count. Now, the probes, to kind of go back to that worker construction. If the Protoss player going up to 3 bases, which is probably not the most stable of build to begin with, but he goes up to 3 bases by 630, and if he's chrono boosting out probes, he can actually be up at 75 probes long before that push comes and is at his door. And then it's just a matter, you put down the overcharge, push them back, and then you just need to warp in units and wait for your upgrades to finish. Have charge, have sentries with the force fields, have that +1 armor, because when you add all that together, that actually does do a lot for marine DPS reduction. And then move into Archons if you can push them back at that point. If you can get the Storm, that's great. A little bit harder, use that feedback on the medevacs. But what he really needed to do was get those probes up before that even happened. So for the lower league players watching this video, what I'd like for you to do is go back and watch your replays and see how much idle time you actually have on your Nexus. I bet you that there's going to be points where you have idle time on that Nexus where you have money that could be going into workers. If you want, feel free to send me emails. My email's down below in the description, and I'll be able to take a look at your game and maybe even cast one. Also, don't forget to follow me on Facebook and Twitter, and please like and subscribe this video, as that will let me know if I should make more. Anyways, until the next time we talk, you guys go out, play games, make probes, and have fun.